It's that time of year, yes, that time of year where coaches are possibly on the hot seat and fan bases who were told over and over that their coach, the coach their the administration hired was terrible, and now they have to realize that yes, we were right. I'm going to dive into those names in just a second, talk about some of their tenure. I'm going to rant. I'm going to go ahead and warn you. I'm going to rant about my annoyances with donors and how they influence who is hired when they have no clue what they're doing when it comes to college football. In just a second, welcome to Clemson Football Live. I'm Brian. I hope you've subscribed to the channel, and if you hadn't, it's free. And I do appreciate you being here. Now, I know the channel is named Clemson Football Live, but I do talk about other college football teams here, Clemson being the first and foremost team. Now, some rumors, which I really don't put that much importance into. Some rumors swirling that maybe Dabo Swinney could be in even in consideration for the Texas A&M job. First of all, Texas A&M just had to pay out a lot of money, or is having to pay out a lot of money to Jimbo Fisher. Then they would have to pay out, what, $60+ million to buy out Swinney's contract. And the last time I checked, Texas A&M hired a coach who left a team who he was just arguing with their fans. I don't think they're going to do that again, at least not in the near future. I'm not trying to be a jerk here. I'm not trying to stir up any trouble. I'm just telling you, we're only a few weeks removed from Dabo defending himself against a caller on a public radio show. Now, it started out okay where he was defending himself, and then we found out that he wanted to have a wife and children, and it got really weird really fast. I don't think Texas A&M is up for a replay. I really don't. So, just throwing that out there. So let's talk about, I talked about the replacements yesterday, potentially for Texas A&M, Mike Elko, Dan Lanning, Jeff Traylor out there. I think it was Jeff Traylor out at UTSA. But let's talk about some coaches who are on the hot seat. Now, I want to start with Billy Napier in Florida. I don't know his buyout at this point. I could go look it up, but transparently, I'm going to be just a little lazy and not do that. It really doesn't matter. I think at this point, Florida fans would pay about anything to go out and find another coach. I think they would raise amounts of money that would only rival some type of fund for hurricane victims to get a good coach in at Florida. I just looked it up. According to Gainesville.com, it would take a buyout of $31.6 million to fire Napier at the end of the 2023 season. Okay? Now, let's talk about Billy Napier for just a second. Billy Napier, he has ties to Clemson. He at one time was an offensive coordinator for Clemson in the early years of Dabo Swinney. And the thing about him is I don't think that he is a bad coach. Also, for you upstate of South Carolina viewers, he played quarterback for the Furman Paladins here in Greenville. I call it Traveler's Rest because it's so flipping close to Traveler's Rest, but everybody's quick to tell me, it's in Greenville. It's like, yeah, make one wrong turn and you're in Traveler's Rest. But anyway. Now, I know what a lot of people is going to say when it comes to Billy Napier. They're going to say, well, he was a young coach. He was doing well at Louisiana. And the last time the University of Florida went after a coach like him, it was like Urban Meyer. Hold up. Now, I'm not talking about Urban Meyer, the Ohio State, Florida Urban Meyer. I'm talking about Urban Meyer before he came to Florida. But you need to understand something. Urban Meyer just didn't show up at Florida after one job. Urban Meyer had been successful at 2 other schools before he came to Florida. Billy Napier spent 4 years at Louisiana. Now, let's give him props. In his first year in 2018, he was 7-7, 5-3 in conference. In 2019, he was 11-3, 7-1 in conference. The next year, 10-1, 7-1 in conference, and 12-1 in 2021, 8-0 in conference. Okay, it's not bad. He's doing really well within the league that he is in. Louisiana was a tough team to play when he was there. I'm not taking that from him. But Urban Meyer, on the other hand, just a little different. Urban Meyer became a head coach in 2001. He took over Bowling Green. They were 8-3, 5-3 in conference. And in 2002, they were 9-3, 6-2 in conference. Utah comes along. They're like, come out here and coach for us. In 2003, his first year, he was 10-2, 6-1 in conference. And in 2004, he was 12-0 and 7-0 in conference. And he won the Fiesta Bowl. And they finished ranked number 4 in the AP Bowl. Then he went to Florida, went 9-3 and 5-3 in conference, 13-1, won the national championship in 06, 9-4 in 07, won the national championship in 08, 2009 went 13-1, 8-0 in conference, won the Sugar Bowl, and then 2010 it wasn't good. They went 8-5, and they were 4-4 in the conference, won the Outback Bowl. 65-15 there. And we know what he did at Ohio State. But you see the difference. He had some times at 2 other schools. He kind of worked his way up. That Utah job, it was a better job than Bowling Green. Proved himself. He proved himself, folks. And so as I'm sitting here looking at the Billy Napier hire, I don't look at Billy Napier and go, loser, 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 loser. No. I say too much too soon. Too much too soon. That's what I say with other coaches. Now, this guy, I can't say that he's on the hot seat whatsoever, but I can tell you that not everybody in South Bend is happy about Marcus Freeman. Marcus Freeman is what, 36 or 37 years old? His very first game, he was the interim coach in the Fiesta Bowl, taking over for Brian Kelly when he shocked the world that he was leaving to go take over LSU, which I don't think that was a very good hire. I think that Brian Kelly's a solid coach, but LSU could have made a better hire, period. Well, he got them to the SEC championship, and they got their head beat in. They lost to Florida State, opening game 2 years in a row. I don't see this being a dominant performance for LSU, but time will tell. I could be wrong, but I think that I'm going to end up being right on this one. But Marcus Freeman, too soon. Too much too soon. His very first game, he was up by 20 points and blew the Fiesta Bowl. Well, that's a first game. We know what he did last year. This year, in the Tennessee State game, they had the whole 10 men on the defense thing. That happened before the whole Ohio State game went on. So I'm not looking at Marcus Freeman going, oh, what a terrible. I'm just saying too soon. Just too soon. And that's the same thing I say to Billy Napier. Too soon. You should have probably went to another school or spent a few more years at Louisiana. Maybe go somewhere like, I don't know, West Virginia? I just messed up my hair. Then let's go over to Sam Pittman. Now, Sam Pittman will get a lot of understanding from me. He's at Arkansas. The last time Arkansas was good, Bobby Petrino. Yes, the whole blind on the back of the motorcycle. It seems like a lifetime ago. But I am telling you, folks, it's truly sad. It is truly sad that Sam Pittman, I mean, he did what he could. And who was it before him? What, Brett Bielema? Before that, that was what, Chad Morris? I don't know if Arkansas has anyone who would want to come there and coach. I don't know why you'd want to go to Arkansas and coach right now. I mean, they had that one good year a few years ago, and that's it. And I say good in terms of it was Arkansas good versus good. Pat Narduzzi up at Pittsburgh. Yeah, he got him a conference championship a few years ago, but the team looks bad. But who wants to go to Pittsburgh and coach? He seems all in with Pittsburgh. He seemingly loves Pittsburgh. A few more coaches that you might want to take a look at who could possibly lose their job. Now, this coach is one of my favorite coaches that has not produced a great team over the past few years. And that's Dino Babers at Syracuse. So, fun fact. Earlier this year when Clemson and Syracuse played, I think Syracuse was like 4-0, something like that. Clemson had just came off the loss to Florida State. They were 0-2 in the conference, 2-2 overall, with their only wins being Charleston Southern and Florida Atlantic. So I produced my preview video for the Syracuse-Clemson game, and I said, of course, you have to be really careful not to underestimate Dino Babers and Syracuse, mainly because of Dino Babers. And I had Syracuse fans come on there, and they were like, hey, I heard you say that last year we were undefeated, but we lost like 5 games in a row. Well, that's different this year. Do you realize they have not won a game since playing Clemson this year? They haven't won a game. And while there's other coaches out there who needs to spend a little more time, I take that back. They just won a game, and it was against Pittsburgh this past week. I was wrong. They just beat Pittsburgh. Before that, they were on, what, a 4-game skid? Yeah, I was wrong there. So they just beat Pittsburgh. Tells you how bad Pittsburgh is. So Pittsburgh's 2-8. They're 2-8. Syracuse is 5-5. But Dino Babers should have got it. Someone should have came into Syracuse and scooped that man up and took him off to a good school, give him a chance. You know, when Florida State was looking at Willie Taggart, I was sitting there going, go get Dino Babers. Dino Babers he'll get it done. Did Willie get it done for you? After his 1 year at Oregon? I had everyone and their brother coming to me, telling me why I was wrong about Willie. Should have got Dino Babers. It seems like Dino tried to stay at Syracuse. He's tried to stay there too long, and now it's costing him professionally. Something you need to think about. It's very, very interesting. Got a bunch of people in here right now. Say hello to everyone. Someone in here is named Bobby Durkins. I do know Bobby Durkins, and I know he's not in here right now, but I would like to know who this Bobby Durkins is. This is fantastic. Let me see. A bunch of people in here. It's good to say hello to everyone. I feel like Aunt Bethany on Christmas vacation. Should I say hello to everyone? Hello, everyone. Sorry. It's a moment for me. It's one of my favorite movies, period. If you haven't subscribed, I hope you'll subscribe. It's free if you want to join on a monthly basis. It's so flippin' cheap. There's a join button below the video. Now, if you're on Apple product, you may not see it. I hope you'll check it out. And then the coach up at Indiana, what's his name? Tom Allen. Tom Allen seemed like he was going to actually just take the world by the horns, but it never worked out. It's Indiana football. So it's kind of like Syracuse. Exactly how bad is Tom Allen? Is he bad, or is it because he's at Indiana? There's some coaches that once they get out of a certain place, they do much better because it's just a death sentence. I mean, it really is. Let's take a look at Mike Locksley up at Maryland. I mean, I'm not trying to be a jerk here, but at first he started off really, really strong. I thought this guy is going to burn the woods up. And I'm just going to go ahead and tell you, it's been one of the most underwhelming coaching jobs I've seen in a while. You kind of wonder if he left Alabama too soon. Maybe he needed a few more years in the oven. I don't think he's a bad coach. And we also have to remember this too, folks. Just because you're a good coordinator does not mean you'll make a good head coach. A good head coach, let me tell you what they do. They come into a program and they say, I'm going to find the best offensive coordinator and I'm going to find the best defensive coordinator that I can get my hands on. And then we're going to, but let's just say you're at Maryland. Not everybody is dying to go up to College Park and coach football. I mean, you're right there at the Mason-Dixon line, if you want to call it that. Where you're right above the South. And you're getting in that area that unless you maybe go inward a little bit to Penn State or drive on in a little more until you get to like Ohio, nobody cares about football unless it's the NFL. Who wants to go to Indiana and try to coach football there? You have Notre Dame up the road. You have to deal with Penn State and Michigan and Ohio State. Do you really want it? Do you want to have to deal with that? But for me, when I look at coaches and I'm considering who was hired, who's been fired, who's been thinking about being fired, who people will throw out there to go replace this person at this job, it kind of blows me away. I'm just being honest. It really blows me away. And I ask myself, how do some of these coaches find themselves in certain jobs? I mean, I'm being honest. How do they find some of these coaches? Sorry, I'm itching. I'm going to scratch my back on the internet. There we go. Be professional. Here goes my rant. If you've stayed here for the 20 minutes, I'm not doing this for entertainment. I'm literally getting this off my chest because I've been thinking about this all day as I've been working. And I was like, as soon as I can make a video, I'm going to get this off my chest. Maybe I'll have to delete the video. But I am going to tell you how some of these coaches ends up in some of their jobs. Now, I'm going to bring up a very touchy subject. Before you start clicking out, before you start putting all your political comments in the comments section, don't do it. I'm not going political on either side. I am just giving an example. When you bring up the term lobbyist, everybody kind of gets the feeling. You know what a lobbyist is? It's a person who is hired by a certain organization or cause or even company who will go to lawmakers and press for them to make laws or remove laws or amend laws, that would be in their favor. They're paid a lot of money. They'll donate money to politicians. Now, while you're sitting there getting the creepies, and you're thinking about how horrible and terrible it is, and you're probably, I have the comment section turned off, but you're probably posting your comment. Please don't do that. Let's stay with football here. But I brought that up because I want you to feel the uncomfortableness. You need to understand that the same way that makes you feel odd because you know some of the bad stuff that's been going on for years that lobbyists actually are responsible for, and that they bought off a politician. You need to understand that the reason that some of these guys are coaches, or the reason that some of these guys are not the coaches at a certain place that would have made sense, is because of the donors. People who can go to the football game, and as they gaze out over the 80 to, it's according to whatever field you're at, 80 to 100, 300, or not 300, 80 to 100, maybe 105,000 people. And they gaze out over that big, massive field. They know that they have more money than almost everybody sitting in that stadium. Tens of thousands of people. And they have been wildly successful, and that's totally fine. I hope to be one of those people that makes a lot of money. Money is amoral. The love of money is what is wrong, but money itself is totally innocent. You can give it to help someone or buy a nice home, or you can also pay someone to kill someone. But the money was not the one who gave you the intention. So let's get off of that. But these donors go to the AD, they go to the board, and they say, you know what? We believe this guy would be the perfect person to coach at our school. Whether they're actually the perfect person or not. And they go, the board or the AD, they look and they say, I really don't think that's the best interest for the school. I mean, they're not the person to coach this football team. They don't know what they're doing. But you see all those buildings down there that has my name on it because I built it, and you get the credit for it? Yeah. Do you want more of those buildings? Yeah. Do you still want to be the AD? Well, yeah. I mean, but I thought you trust me. No, you're a pansy. You're a well-paid pansy. And if you and the board still wants to be on the board and receive your incredible paycheck, which, by the way, is peanuts to us, you'll hire this lackey. Or not hire that lackey. That's how this works, folks. Now, I don't know how Billy Napier ended up at Florida. No offense to Billy Napier. He's doing fine. Once again, I don't think he's a bad football coach. This is just too much too soon. This job was just above him. I'm sorry. He could care less what I think. I can go ahead and promise you that. I'm not talking bad about the guy. Don't feel bad. If they fired him 5 seconds from now, they owe him $31 million. So he's not in a cheese line. His family's not, his sons doesn't have to become, I don't know how many children, if he has any children. If he has children, his sons doesn't have to become gangsters, and his daughters will not be sold off into prostitution. They will be totally fine. Feelings might be hurt, but they'll be wildly rich to get over, being hurt. And that's fine. That's okay. But folks, that's how these coaches end up in certain positions. And it is just like some of these coaches, they end up hiring guys to be positions coaches under them, to be offensive coordinators, to be defensive coordinators under them, and they don't know what they're doing. And these head coaches look at the fans and they go, I thought you trusted me. I thought you believed in every word that I said. And it's like, yes, we do. But if you hire Pee Wee Herman to be your offensive line coach, just because you made that decision and just because you're the one who brought the success doesn't magically make Pee Wee Herman the best offensive line coach. In fact, it doesn't. So, folks, as I'm sitting here today, and I'm thinking about these coaches who are on the hot seat, and I'm thinking about coaches like Billy Napier and Marcus Freeman, who I'm like, I don't know why they got that job, that opportunity. And then I see guys like Mike Elko at Duke, who's done so much with so little. Then I look at a guy like Dave Clawson, who's been at Wake Forest. Now, do I believe that Dave Clawson is an Urban Meyer? No, I don't. But there are a lot of schools who could benefit from a guy like Dave Clawson, who's going to come in. He's going to look at the cards that he has been dealt, and he will make that team win way more than what they normally would. The guy out at Kansas, he's older. What's his last name? Leopold? I always mess it up. I want to say Leopard, but it's like Leopold or something like that. He's an older coach, but look what he's done at Kansas. It's been forever since Kansas has had any semblance of just being a decent football team. And look what he's done. Look what he's done. Got some really good fussing and fighting going on in the comments section. I want to say hello to everyone. If you have not subscribed, I have 62 people watching right now. I hope you all you've all subscribed. I hope you hit the thumbs up. Probably a lot of you are either ending your workday or you're driving home for work. Maybe some of you are just starting your day and you're listening to me on your AirPods. I talked to a gentleman a couple of weeks ago, Bo Taylor. I saw him out and about, and we talked, and he said, man, I listen to you while I work. And that's what a lot of people tells me. I'm listening to you while I'm work or while I'm driving. So I hope that I am providing entertainment for you that is worthwhile, but I do hope that you have subscribed. And if you want to join on a monthly basis, please join on a monthly basis. I have a $3 or $5 tier. You're like, what's the difference? Either $3 or $5. I just made those two tiers. You can support based on how much you want to do that. Or if you want to give a super thanks or a super chat in the comments section, you can do that. I see Still Gamble in here, who's a member. I see SC Rocket XR in here, who is a member. So I appreciate everybody in here. I've seen some really good. I see some really good arguments in here. So I'm going to talk about this a little more. So let's revisit here. Billy Napier had really good seasons, 3 out of 4 at Louisiana. He did. And I know that you want to compare him to Urban Meyer when Urban Meyer was coming up through the ranks. But Urban Meyer had 2 years at Bowling Green. He did fantastic. Then he went on to Utah for only 2 years. In his second year, he was undefeated and got the Utes. We're not talking about the Utes that we know now. We're talking about Mountain West Conference Utes, early 2000s. The Utes went undefeated. He won the Fiesta Bowl. They finished fourth place. So, love or hate Urban Meyer, you want to take your Urban Meyer jokes, you want to talk about him dancing with some blonde down in Jacksonville, last year. You want to talk about all these. Look, Urban Meyer, if Urban Meyer was named the coach at almost any school in the country, even if you hated his guts, somewhere in the background you'd go, we're going to win. Well, he didn't do it in the NFL. Y'all, I don't even know how anybody coaches in the NFL. I'm sorry. I'm not even going to go on that tangent. Just different rant, different day. Urban Meyer can coach football. But Billy Napier didn't do what Urban Meyer did. He didn't. He did good at the school he was at, but he was not Urban Meyer. Why did you hire him? Too much too soon. Marcus Freeman had been with the team 1 year? And they made him head coach after being I believe that was his first time being a defensive coordinator. I could be wrong. Please correct me if I'm wrong. Then on the other hand, you have a guy like Dino Babers who stayed at Syracuse, in my opinion, way too long. The guy can coach football. He could be used so much better at another university. I was actually scared that he was going to go to Florida State back when the whole Willie Taggart hire was made. I was afraid that Dino Babers was going to go down to Florida State, and he was actually going to have talent to work with that was consistent at every level, and that was going to be a problem. But Dino stays at Syracuse. Sam Pittman out there in Arkansas. You're like, what? Man, what's the deal? I'm going to tell you right now, if Sam Pittman is fired by Arkansas, first of all, I don't know who you're going to hire. I have no clue who you're going to hire. Next, Dabo Swinney. I will make the call for you to get Sam Pittman to come coach our offensive line. I will do it for you. If you don't want to do it, I'll do it for you. I will offer myself as tribute to make that phone call for you. Get him in Death Valley. Get him in Clemson, South Carolina. Pat Narduzzi, is he gone? I don't think they would fire him. I know he's on the hot seat. I know the team looks like hot trash. I don't think they would fire him. I don't think that Dino Babers will be fired. Do I think that the seat is hot? Yes, because this is the second year in a row that he's lost like 4 or 5 games in a row after losing to Clemson. And then he just beat Pittsburgh, who's awful. It doesn't make sense to me. Tom Allen at Indiana, who are you going to replace him with? And if I'm Tom Allen, I have to ask myself, hey, I'm getting older. Do I really want to be at Indiana and keep putting up with this? I mean, heck, I had Michael Penix Jr., and I know he got hurt, and that was grotesque, but it's just, man, I need to go somewhere else. This might sound crazy. Maybe he needs to go to like a good Conference USA or MAC or whatever conferences are left like that, to a good school like that, and try go and win do something really special, and then maybe get a better job than Indiana. Maybe that's it. Got some people brought up got some people who brought up a very interesting name. Stoopsified brought it up. Then there's the James Franklin experiment. I see SC Rocket said, I don't see Franklin ever getting to the playoffs. Let me talk about James Franklin. What he did at Vanderbilt was incredible. Now you got to think, I know Bobby Johnson was there before him. Don't overlook what Bobby Johnson did. the former Furman coach, he did a pretty good job at Vanderbilt. Consider it's Vanderbilt. And then James Franklin took over for him when I think he retired. I don't think they fired him. I think Bobby Johnson just retired. But he did what he did there, and then he went to Penn State. There is something about James Franklin. I don't believe that he is a bad coach. I just don't think he's a great coach. I think he's a good coach. He's not a great coach. And we've seen this at Clemson. Since that 2018 national championship and Jeff Scott left, we have seen okay coaches, and then some are they have absolutely, over the past few years, just absolutely no experience. I'm sorry, folks, that's our problem. It's not transfer portal. I've told you this one time, all the way up to 1,000 times. I'm not going to stop beating that drum. It's not the transfer portal. It's hiring people who is former NFL player, former Clemson player, former NFL player, former Clemson player, former player who spent 2 years at Georgia State as an assistant or a GA, former high school coach, former high school coach. That's what happened to Clemson. They had generational talent at quarterback. They've had a lot of great talent everywhere, and still to this point have some really good talent. It just finally caught up to them hiring not great coaches. Because where does this tie in that I brought that up? Here's where it ties in. When James Franklin, his team has to go head to head with a Michigan team whose head coach is still sitting at the hotel because of allegations, whether he's guilty or not, and you're playing at home and you can't beat them, and they ran the ball nonstop, never threw a pass in the second half, that's called getting out-coached. When no matter who plays for you, including Saquon Barkley, you can't beat Ohio State. You can't. You always find a way to blow it. It's called getting out-coached. Since 2018, Clemson, especially 2019, Clemson has been out-coached, especially on the offensive side of the ball. That's how it ties in. If there's a t-shirt that I could create and sell, somebody's going to steal my idea and go for it. Just give me a little commission off of it. I'll be fine. I'm in sales, so I'll take the commission. Coaching matters. What does that mean? Whoever has a headset on their head on the sideline can determine whether they put a lid on the talent that you have, no matter how great it is. Or if you're like a Chris Peterson, who could have 2- and 3-star talent, 3-star at best, but they're beating your 5-star. Why? Because coaching matters. It matters. You may not want to accept it. You might want to think that I can hire people because they understand my culture. They get it. Oh, they regurgitate my talking points, and they just seem so fired up, and they're a good person, but they can't coach. Coaching matters. When you think about coaching hires, when you think about anything like that, coaching matters. Who's coaching your offensive line? Matters. We can't protect the quarterback. Coaching matters. It matters. You can't get away from it. You can run from it. You can stick it in. You stick your fingers in your ears and start screaming like a 3-year-old who doesn't want to hear the truth. Coaching matters. Clemson, South Carolina has found that out very, very much the hard way, especially on the offensive side of the ball. I'm going through here. Going through here some really good comments. Fantastic comments. I also heard this. That the kid who is the quarterback up at NC State, MJ Morris. You remember he beat Clemson. I heard that he is he's either going to take a red shirt or he's not going to play anymore. I heard that so he can save eligibility. I don't know how true that is. Please, someone, if you have any information, please throw it in the circle, in the chat about MJ Morris. But from what I understand, he's not playing anymore for the NC State Wolfpack. At least not this year. He'll probably hit the portal and go make a lot of money. That's just the business end of That's just the business end of the deal. So that's college football now. It's college football now. So let's talk about some of the coaches. And I'm just going to go ahead and tell you out of these coaches who I believe will be fired and who will keep their job. Dino Babers keeps his job. He's going to have to bomb, because Syracuse doesn't have anyone. Who wants to go coach at Syracuse unless it's an alumni? Marvin Harrison, he goes back to school. He wants to coach, and they give him a shot at it. Donovan McNabb, okay, one of them. Pat Narduzzi, maybe, but I don't see it because he's only 2 years removed, if that, from an ACC championship. Tom Allen at Indiana, I could see them firing him. Sam Pittman, unfortunately, I can see them firing him. I can see them firing him. Billy Napier, he has to play Florida State in a few weeks. And other than beating Tennessee at home, I mean, what good win does he have? So if Florida State, and most likely Florida State will, beat Florida, and especially if they pound them, Florida might very well fire him. Too much, too soon. Again, I don't think that Billy Napier is a bad coach. I just think it was too much too soon. Now, I brought up Marcus Freeman. Marcus Freeman is not on a hot seat, but I will guarantee you if he has an encore performance of last year and this year, next year, he won't be able to sit down without feeling some heat. But I'm going to tell you who's to blame for that. Notre Dame is. Notre Dame wants to, and I'm not talking trash about the Irish, I'm just telling you the truth. Notre Dame wants to tout themselves as one of the greatest football schools of all time. And statistically, they are. They haven't won a national championship since my wife was 1 year old. And every time it's time to hire a new coach, they go bargain shopping. So either football is a priority for you or it's not. It just doesn't make sense to me. I don't see. I don't see. I possibly see Mike Loxley being fired at Maryland. I could possibly see him being fired at Maryland. Maryland football used to be dangerous with Ralph Regan. I mean, they really did. When you played against Ralph Regan, that guy, he's standing over there to the side, man. He's just coaching away ever since they fired that man after he had like a winning season. Maryland just hasn't been worth a crap. No matter who they hire, they just haven't been worth a crap. And it's crazy. I mean, they after Freeman, they hired Randy Edsall from Connecticut. Then they went to DJ Durkin, and we know what happened after that. Now he's down at Texas A&M. And Michael Oxley. But folks, it just doesn't look good. I wouldn't be shocked if the way that you know that they have a candidate is if they pull the trigger on Michael Oxley. I wouldn't be shocked. But we will see. A couple other names that came up. One of the names that came up was Dana Holgerson down at Houston. I don't know. I can't figure out Dana Holgerson. I really can't. I really can't figure him out. Any of these schools who wanted to go after someone, especially if they wanted to rebuild something or if they wanted to try to get themselves out of a lull, I would go after Lance Leopold at Kansas and say, come on out here. Come on out here and coach for me. I'll tell you another name if you were going to hire someone. I know he's only been at this school for 1 year. Former Coastal Carolina coach, Jamie Chadwell. You know, that magical season that Coastal Carolina had back in 2020 when they beat BYU. They had that great season. Last year was not as good as it could have been. But the year before that was pretty doggone solid. And then Liberty came along and said, hey, we just lost Hugh Freeze to Auburn. You're making $1 million down at Coastal. How about you come up here to Liberty, take over a good football team? We'll pay you $4 million. Deal. Right now, Liberty is undefeated. Jamie Chadwell can coach. Now, if I'm Jamie Chadwell, I don't go to Florida unless I have a really good defensive coordinator with me. That was his Achilles heel at Coastal. It was over the past few years, their defense did not look that good. So that's the asterisk I'll put there. But a team comes along and says, hey, we want to give Jamie Chadwell a shot. I would not be against that. I think he would be a very good option. I talked about yesterday with Texas A&M, Mike Elko. Definitely. Mike Elko would be a great fit at Texas A&M. Dan Lanning from Oregon, yes, he would. I think he would be a very good fit, but I think Mike Elko definitely is the first person I would be calling trying to work out a plan there. That's who I would go after. And I would give him a shot because you need someone who is stable. Mike Elko, I don't know him personally. Mike Elko just seems like I'm here for football. That's it. I'm here for football. That is it. And I think Jimbo Fisher still has some of that old school left in him to where the football coach calls the shots no matter what it is. He can say and do and think and whatever he wants to. But that's not the truth anymore. It's not the truth anymore. A football coach cannot come and go as they please. They can't. And to a point, they shouldn't. Well, folks, thank you so much for joining me on the show. I know it's a longer show than usual. Normally, I try to keep them somewhere between 15 and 25 minutes. Me, I'm a talker. I even break my own rule. But I do appreciate you being here. I hope that you've subscribed. It is free. It's a great way to support a channel. My channel is small, but man, it's been growing. I had, good grief, a couple of months before the season kicked off, I had like 1,100 subscribers. The channel hadn't even been around a year. Now I'm at 2,700. That's a big deal because YouTube is not like it used to be where you could start a channel and have 10,000 subscribers like that. So I'm just saying, I do appreciate everyone who is subscribed, but if you've been watching, especially consistently, and you haven't subscribed, it's a great way to support the channel for free. If you're new here, welcome, friends. I hope you hit the subscribe button. And if you want to support on a monthly basis, there's a join button below the video. You may not see it on an Apple product, but you can. It's so flipping cheap. You could do it with Christmas and Thanksgiving coming around. You wouldn't even miss it. I do appreciate it. Also, you can give in the comment section if you want to support. But most of all, I'm glad that you are here. Glad to talk about football, folks. We only have a few weeks left of the regular season of college football. I know it just came and went like that. Here we are. So anyway, you take care of yourself. I'll catch you next time. And as always, good or bad, go Tigers.